Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this Venice pendant featuring the channel ring as well as one of the endless rings. You can do this in tons of different designs and tons of different patterns. If you do need any materials, check out the links below to shop with us online. Don't forget to, during the video, comment below with any suggestions, ideas, designs you may have done, and some fun things along the way. Remember also you can give a little thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads. So there's a number of different options when looking at the pendant and deciding what take you're going to do. So I have here two different examples showing kind of the more simplistic and then also a little bit more complicated way if you want to do that with me. If you just have the inner ring, you can simply go through the holes and decorate and really have some fun like I did here with some tiny Amazonite gemstones and then also some of the crystal rondelles. I'm going to be showing you how to encapsulate it inside a bigger endless ring. So I have an endless ring here in 40 millimeter, and then I have my channel in 30. These come in a bunch of different colors, but they fit perfectly with a 4 millimeter bead on the exterior. I'm going to be using my 1.5 by 2 millimeter rondelles in the Seafoam green color and highlighting some of those natural colors in the petrified wood agate 4 millimeter. To get started on the design, I want you to put a stop bead onto the end of some .006 white wildfire thread. From there, go ahead and pick any spot on your ring and sew from the center towards the exterior. Add one of your 4 millimeter beads. Go around that 40 millimeter ring. And catching it on, you're going to sew back through your 4 millimeter bead and then back down through that same exact loop. So you can see where I sewed through there. Once you come out the center here, I want you to pick up one 15-0, one crystal, and another 15-0. Skip over one space and sew on up. So you'll have one open ring or open hole right inside there. When you add on the next 4 millimeter bead, you're going to do the exact same thing, adding in the 4 millimeter, sewing around the top and down through the bead. Again, make sure you're going through that exact same hole, and at the same time when you go through, come through that 15 OC bead that I'm using in the Duracoat Galvanized Champagne. Give a nice tight pull so you don't have any extra thread showing. Add one more of your 1.5 millimeter and one more of your 15-0. Skip over one loop again, sew through that channeled ring, add another 4 millimeter, wrap around the ring, and then sew down through. So you're sewing down through the 4 millimeter, down through the ring, and down through the 15-0. You're going to proceed the whole way around the ring, adding in your crystals and your 4 millimeter beads. And what you're going to be doing is basically attaching the center of the ring. That's going to get you this nice kind of woven design along with all of your 4 millimeter on the exterior of that channeled ring. So as I continue around, I want to keep this top section on this example open because I'm going to wear it as a medallion a little bit further down, and I want to be able to put my cord through that upper loop. You obviously can close it up and kind of have it hang off to the side, or like I've said before, even omit that outer ring. When you omit that outer ring, you're just sewing from one bead over down into the next ring, so the bead hole sits the opposite way. However, what I do want to do is still have those beads go along the bottom row because I just want the top to be empty. In order to do so, I'm coming through like I'm going to be ready to put on my next gemstone bead, and instead of putting on one of my 15 OC beads, I'm going to sew back through that same hole and through the 15 like I've been doing the whole way around. I want to make sure not to sew through the outer ring at all this time. You're just basically forming so you can get the bottom section connected. From here again, I'll add another one of my rondelles, add a 15, back up through, skipping a hole, and on to the next one. Pulling that together, add 115, not going around the outer ring, and coming back down through that exact same hole, and as you are, through the 15-0 below it. When I pull my needle and thread through then, You just want to make sure, again, that you do a nice tight pull to pull the design in. I have 2 more beads that I'm going to add in to do this link here to close up my ring. So I'm going to do 1 more, come on up. And this one be just for the sake of the spacing. You're going to realize that if you do the pearl, you do have one section where you're getting a little bit tighter because you're going to have one section where you aren't skipping a bead. I'm going to do that right now and just go up to the bead right next to it. It'll be a little bit closer on the interior, but you honestly won't see and notice the difference. Add 1 more 15, go back down through that same loop and out through the 15 below it. Oh, this one here I got caught on the ring. I'll have to back out through, come back down over. Then what I'm going to do to finish it out, after I do that, add 1 more of my 1.5 by 2 millimeter rondelle, and then back through the 15-0, back through my first 4 millimeter bead and out to the outer edge so I can add in some brick stitch along the sides. Once I'm coming out back through the gemstone here, I want to do a little brick stitch on the outer edge. Now I don't need to, again, I didn't even need to add the outer row. I can do just a side of it and start to add fringe, have a lot of fun with the different ways here. Coming out the top, I've decided to add some 3 millimeter bicones, and I'm going to put 1 of my 15 OC bead in between each of the bicones as I connect them. To start out brick stitch, I'm going to begin by adding 2 of my bicones. I'm pressing them against my ring. I'm going to sew from the back to the front through that outer top ring. Let those bicones lay down so the thread's not crossed at all. And I'm going to sew back up through just the second bicone. You'll see that second bicone then just kind of stands straight up there as I add in. Adding a little bit more bling, I'll add another 15, another bicone, sew underneath the ring here, and you're going to get about 2 bicones in between each one of your gemstones. So back up through the bicone and not up through that 15 OC bead at all. That's going to give you the opportunity to put those bicones so that they sit on edge, and the 15-0 will just decorate that outer little edge. I'm going to continue the whole way around here till I get back to my starter side, adding in 1 15-0 and then 1 of these Smokey Topaz AB 3 millimeter bicones the whole way around the outer edge. Once you're done with your bicones here, and you can see that I finished all the way, I ended my bicones so the last one was going between the last 2 gemstones, still again leaving that open space so that way I can do my necklace cords going back. Now you can leave this completely as is, or I'm going to pull a little bit of that green color, that sea opal color, out towards the side, adding 1 and sewing through a 15 that's already there. So you can see when I came up through here, I just came right up through the 15, added my crystal, through the next 15, added a crystal, the whole way around. As I get back to the starting side then, the nice thing is as I end, my thread will come out right at the bottom and I'll be able to take my thread and needle, go through the last 15, come down through this 15, taking it to the thread to the back of the design to hold it in, down through the gemstone and tie it off. Once you get to the end of the design and you have your last of your little crystal rondelle there, go ahead back down that 4 millimeter bead. And here's what I was saying, that the 4 millimeter bead is naturally going to kind of shift to one side because remember you put 2 beads on as you started your brick stitch to the top of the design. Go through that 4 millimeter bead as well as down through the gemstone bead and also straight out to the bottom. When you come straight out to the bottom, guess what? You're right there with your stop bead. So you'll be able then to take the stop bead off your thread and needle and simply tie a knot. So I'm going to take this here, grab this stop bead, and you can keep going. You can make this as large or as small as you want. I was actually saying during a Twitch broadcast that this would also be a great hoop earring, that if you had it to the side and you have some hoop forms that you would be able to use that for that as well. I'm going to just slide this stop bead out of the way, take my 2 thread ends, get them to the same side here, and go ahead and tie them off. From here, if you want to, again, you could have gone the whole way around, just like I did in my example piece as I added in the pearls. You can keep it open and not put any of the crystals on the exterior, or you can simply eliminate the 40mm ring and go with just that channel ring for this Venice design. What I'm going to do now is show you how I'm going to connect my cord to hang my Venice pendant as that nice medallion lower down along my neck. So to attach a leather or cord to the actual pendant, what I did was I'm attaching two, one to one side, kind of one to the other. I have some S-lawn thread here that I am using, and I simply put the loop here after doubled over the thread through the side of the 40mm piece, doubled it over, and I have those nice two slip knots. From here, I'm going to separate one out to one side, one to the other, add a couple beads, and then literally just tie a knot in the back because it has the opportunity to go and slip over my head since I'm doing it as a longer medallion. You can also keep it nice and plain. You can do some leather, or again, if you wanted to, you could have added more beads so that way you don't have as much of a gap, or even crossed over and added some beads here at the top with that nice little gap in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and play with some of my beads, getting in some of those 4mm onto this S-lawn, or you could use some 1 or 1.5mm leather. That would also look great with this petrified wood agate. As always, thank you so much for watching me do this Venice pendant. I have it sitting higher just so you can see it, but the intention really is to have it be a lower design. You can have fun putting a tassel on it. Get creative and design the middle using different beads. Check out the Endless Summer Necklace for that as well. And then also play with whether or not you want to just use that center ring or if you want to use that endless ring on the outside, going for that channel look versus the 40mm. Remember, if you do need any supplies at all, go ahead and click the link below to shop with us online. Hit that show more and all the materials are listed right there for you. In addition, if you haven't already, click on that little side link there to subscribe to get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this gives you some great ideas that are circulating around, and enjoy your new Venice pendant.